Output gap. So output gap is the difference between the actual output and the potential output. Right? So what is output gap measuring? It is the difference between actual output and potential output. Hmm. There can be two types of output gaps. One is the negative output gap, another is the positive output gap. So negative output gap is when the actual output is below full employment level of output or potential level of output. So what are the conditions which actually show that there can be a negative output gap? The conditions can be that high unemployment is there. There is high unemployment. It means that all resources are not fully employed. There is unutilized capacity, spare capacity. So weak GDP growth. Hmm, right. So these are the indicators of negative output gap, right? So, and this could represent what? That recession is on the way. There is going to be a recession because in case if output is going to remain less than potential level of output for so long, then there can be recession. Economy is underperforming. So recession. Uh, so what are the different policy responses which you can have? So first of all, so you can have it like this. Let's say your real GDP. This is time. And let's say this is the long run trend rate of real GDP. Mhm. And this is the actual GDP. Hmm? This is the actual GDP. Right. Hmm. So, so when I say long run rate of real GDP, it means that this is the average sustainable growth rate, which is there for a long period of time. This is the actual growth rate, right? So, and this trend growth rate, the long run sustainable growth rate, it is determined by productivity. What is the productivity level in the economy, right? And so in case if the actual growth rate is lesser than the long run trend growth rate, this thing actual is less than than the long run trend growth rate, this is the negative output gap. And if actual is more than the long run trend growth rate, that is the positive output gap. Hmm. So if you have let's say a diagram like this. So you have, let's say this is the long run AS. Mhm. And if this is the aggregate demand, and let us say this is the full potential level of output, YF, and this guy is the actual output level, Y. Why? Because your AD and AS, they are intersecting here. And in case if demand falls, uh, right? In case if uh, demand is going to further fall, let's say. First of all, you can also see even here, you can see that there is a negative output gap. Your actual output is less than the potential level of output. It is a negative output gap, right? So this is also called deflationary gap. This is also called deflationary gap, right? So naturally, uh, uh, output is lesser than the potential level of output. It is going to cause unemployment. It is going to cause less growth in the economy, right? It is going to cause less growth in the economy, right? So this is there, and then you have a positive output gap also. So, and here in this particular case, this there can be deflationary um, tendencies also, because in case if incomes are going to be less than the potential level, then and unemployment is more, income is going to fall more. If income is going to fall more, then people are going to demand less. Your AD is going to fall even further, right? AD is going to fall even further to AD dash. And here output falls even further. And prices also fall. So earlier prices were given by this. Now prices are given by this. So earlier it was, so this is, let's say Y1, Y2, P1, P2. So there are deflationary tendencies. Deflationary tendencies. Mhm. Right. You can also have the positive output gap. So positive output gap is when output is more than the potential level of output. Right. So you have, it's a long run AS curve. This is the short run AS curve. I could have also made it like this, doesn't matter. And to start with, economy is at full employment level, right? To start with, economy is at full employment level. So this positive output gap is occurring when the actual growth rate is more than this guy. So this is not actual GDP, this is actual GDP growth. Hmm? Actual GDP growth. Hmm. And in this particular case, supposedly in case if demand is increasing because the actual GDP growth is more than the long run growth. So ED is going to go further, right? And so earlier. So these are inflationary. So there is a positive output gap here. There is a positive output gap, and hmm, so this is going to create inflationary tendencies in the economy. Uh-huh. Okay.